Welcome back. This is Brendan from Watch Cringe.
Yeah, it's still Jay. Finally doing an episode with David from the story of David and Goliath.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me. RT Custer from Vortic Watch Company here, and I appreciate the nod to the David and Goliath.
Aside that, RT is also the defender of the American dream, Daddy Custy, CEO of the rapidly expanding Vortic Watches empire, and the CRO of Carter and Custer Agency, Daddy Fast Foundation himself, RT Custer. First off, I guess wrist check. What are you wearing?
So I'm wearing our new military edition. We call it the 4th edition from this year. It comes out on November 11th. That's why we're here in New York, checking it out.
Oh, I'm not wearing a watch right now. I took off mine.
We've done 4 podcasts in a row today, so I am still wearing the Pepsi.
I got the shit end of the stick today. You guys just like save the worst for last.
50% off Sushi Mondays.
50% brain power, 100% we're trying.
The
we're
rest,
here.
like the rest of the restaurant, though, let me tell you, the view at this spot, gorgeous. It actually is. I think it encapsulates New York and the whole concrete jungle aspect.
It's pretty cool. And then you like look down on these buildings over here.
You see
there's
all
like
the poor people?
Well, I guess you could infer that, but no, there's like really cool like rooftop gardens and stuff down there. And
The water towers.
yeah, it's really neat. Like there's whole ecosystems on the top of these buildings.
Yeah, it's actually really, really cool. I mean, I'm a big fan. This is probably the best room we've seen all day. So, like, you've been in the watch business for how long now?
So we had the idea in 2011. We launched on Kickstarter in November of 2014.
That's right.
So it's been, 8 years or so.
Gotcha. So, I've looked at the podcasts that you've done and a couple of the articles as well. I don't see most of them, or at least the ones I've seen, did not mention that at one point you were in the Christmas tree farm business.
yeah. So we're going way back.
Let's talk about it.
I grew up on a Christmas tree farm in Reading, Pennsylvania, or near Reading, Pennsylvania. And it was my great-grandfather that started the farm in 1941. And so I was a 4th-generation entrepreneur, small business owner, and yeah, we had about 40 acres growing Christmas trees for most of my life.
So, with Christmas coming up, what tips can you give our listeners who want a really good and festive Christmas tree? Is Fraser Fear still the most baller?
So it's Fraser Fir.
There you go.
And that's actually, it's funny, that's my favorite type of Christmas tree. Fraser Fir is one of the best. And yeah, I will always have a live Christmas tree, and we'll never get one of the fake ones, just because that's how I grew up, and I want to support small businesses that are doing similar things.
I guess it's a lot easier to sell watches though than it is trees.
The watch industry is a little easier, than the Christmas tree business.
Physical labor,
and with
less seasonal.
Yep, and much less, still pretty seasonal. But much less seasonal, that's for sure. Yeah.
So you mentioned that your grandfather was the guy started. I don't want to butcher it. It's Charles DeLong, right?
DeLong, yeah.
DeLong.
Yeah, DeLong
Gotcha.
Christmas Tree Farm, yeah.
And I remember reading a post that you had made on it, saying that I hope he's proud of you, because I remember reading that you're gonna continue the spirit of entrepreneurship, and this is like long before. Do you think if he was here to see how you've progressed watches, you think he'd get a kick out of it?
Yeah, I think he would be my grandfather, my great grandfather. I mean, I lost my mom in 2020, and it was her parents that and grandparents that started the farm. And I'm an only child, and so I inherited the farm. And the reason I made that post was I had to sell the farm because I couldn't operate it from Colorado, and I was really the only one that knew what to do with it. And so I took the funds from that and invested most of them in Vortic and all of the infrastructure that we have now. And so it was kind of a philosophical question of I hope that my family, that are no longer with us would be looking down and be proud of me. And I know they are, not necessarily for watches. I think my family, the Christmas tree farm was always like a side hustle for us for years. Everyone always had another job. My grandfather worked for the state of Pennsylvania as a forester. My parents both worked in advertising in closer to Philadelphia for their careers. So I think they would be proud of just the entrepreneurial spirit and the fact that I never gave up in all of my things, and I wouldn't say successful, but I get closer to success every day. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is all about, is just trying really hard and learning new things every day and figuring it out.
So what made you transition from, or what was going on in your mind in 2011 to make you get into watches and say, this is what I want to do, this is the business that I want to start?
Yeah, so my business partner, Tyler, who you guys can meet tomorrow or this weekend, he's probably landing in LaGuardia right now. He and I had this idea on the golf course at Penn State where we went to school. And we had a bunch of ideas around watches at that time. We actually have a couple ideas that we had back then patented now. And we went on the kind of engineering side of watches, and we were trying to figure out, like, okay, if we're going to make a watch, we're going to make some watch-related things. Can we make them in America? That was like the big question that we were talking about back in 2011 when we had all these ideas. And we went down this rabbit hole of made in USA watches, or lack thereof. And we stumbled on the history of what we call the great American watch companies that made all these pocket watches 100 years ago. Most people don't know that there was dozens of pocket watch manufacturing companies and hundreds of millions of pocket watches made in USA. And when we learned all that, we both like history, we both like, how it's made and all that kind of stuff. And we got stuck on this concept of preserving American history and realizing that if we used the old pocket watches and made everything else, it would be as close to, if not completely, made in America as any other watch. And it took us a few years, but we kind of developed the idea, worked on it, tinkered, went back and forth, and put what we called the American Artisan Series on Kickstarter in 2014. And knock on wood, we've sold every watch we've made since. Sometimes you get lucky.
So I think, Jay, you uncovered a business plan in the early years of Vortic, right? You want to go over that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I was wondering when I was looking up a little bit about RT was why did you not stick with the original way you spelled Vortic with the capital V, little o, little r, capital T, little I, little c? And do you still have those designs of the bracelet stuff?
Yeah, so what you're referencing is our original idea, and you must have gone deep.
Oh,
because,
I was deep.
You found the dark web stuff.
I found the dark web stuff.
I'm a little nervous about your future questions, honestly. But no, it's good. So when we first had the idea for Vortic, it stood for Vortex and TikTok, because we invented a bracelet system that was telescoping, that when you turn the bezel of the watch, it actually tightened the bracelet around your wrist in tiny little increments.
Yeah.
And we currently own the patent on that idea. It's like BOA Technologies, BOA. BOA has that for like shoes and snowboard boots and golf shoes and stuff like that. We own that, but on your wrist. And there's all kinds of other ways to solve that, and Tudor and all, even micro brands have lots of ways with the micro adjust and all that kind of stuff. But we had that idea in 2011, before a lot of that stuff existed. And one of our professors was just like, hey, this is a really cool idea. This is going to cost a fortune to figure out how to make, but you should at least try to get a patent on it. And we were awarded a patent for that idea. And we still have designs. We have CAD designs for all that stuff. We have trademarks around that kind of stuff. But when we started trying to raise money for that idea, because we thought it would take hundreds of thousands to, at least now we know it would take millions to figure out how to research and develop this thing, all of the potential investors were just like, all right, you 2 kids out of college, you've never made anything before, how the hell are you going to make this? And we got some advice to say, hey, maybe start with something a little easier to make, develop a brand, build a business, and then circle back to this thing. And fast forward 8 years, or 10 years, I guess, at this point, we stumbled on what I think is an even better idea in the pocket watch conversion world, and people love what we do, and we just haven't had a chance to go back and even attempt making that yet. And we might not, that's just how business works.
So yeah, when I was looking this up, this was information that I was like, wait, is this actually him? Because I found it was a 26-page business plan, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's him because it says RT at Vortic Watches. Just spelled kind of cool, the way that you did it, and the way you pivoted into pocket watches, I think was a smart idea. I know that on your business plan, you had listed the Pebble as a possible competitor.
Yeah.
How does it feel to outlive them?
Well, I mean, gosh, that's a throwback. You guys remember Pebble on Kickstarter?
Oh, yeah, I had the first one.
Yeah, I don't think I ever ordered one, but a friend had one and we were checking it out. And yeah, when you talk about that kind of stuff, it's interesting how many businesses have come and gone and how many ideas have come and gone. And that's why I'm really glad thanks for using the word pivot. I mean, it was a massive pivot in what we decided to do. But this, pocket watch conversions and what we call the American Artisan Series is, just way more fun, a way easier business to run and explain to customers. And we've developed a really awesome, super loyal customer base, not to mention a really cool product. So
I would say so. And I guess just with doing all this research, I also saw that you have been quite someone I would consider a serial entrepreneur. And so I wondered, what is the reason that you enjoy helping people so much? Is it the money? Is it because I know I would enjoy the money,
I make money, not very much. Vortic pays me a very small salary.
Speak to the boss.
I have lots of investors who need to have a return on their investment at some point, and that's really one focus. But to speak to your question, I have lots of different stuff going on. I wouldn't say serial entrepreneur because it's not like I'm going from one thing to the next
I guess that's...
yet. I just haven't. I've only been an entrepreneur for 10 years or so. But I'm multi-passionate. I have a lot of stuff going on. I can't, I don't know if it's ADHD or what, but I can't do one thing and only one thing. I've struggled with that for a long time. And so, right now I have Vortic Watch Company, and then I'm co-owner of an advertising agency because during the pandemic, honestly, I thought people were going to stop buying luxury wristwatches. During a global pandemic, I thought we were screwed. Who's going to buy a $5,000 watch on the internet when people are dying? And so I was like, what other skills do I have? How can I save Vortic with my personal skills? And I was running all of our Facebook ads and doing all that kind of stuff myself. And I was like, well, I can help people move their business online. And so I spooled up an agency real quick. And that and Vortic took off in 2020. And so I recently sold half of that agency to my friend Jim, basically merged with another company so I could have less to do and less on my plate. And we started a mastermind, which, is a whole other conversation, but to your point, I really like helping new entrepreneurs because I'm really passionate about, like, it took me 10 years to figure all this stuff out. If I can help someone do what I did in 2 years instead of 10, you know, the world needs more entrepreneurs and more people that want to work hard like us. You know, you guys doing this many interviews in a day, like it's hard work doing this kind of stuff. So the world needs more people like that, and the best I can do to support that, that's what I want to do.
It's badass. So did you have a background in marketing or in whatever? Like, because you said that you handled your Facebook, like, ads or whatever, marketing and stuff yourself. Did you have a background in marketing, or you just have a knack for it?
Well, I grew up watching the Super Bowl with my parents, and they would mute the football game and turn it back on when the
commercial
ads came on.
Yeah.
They were both, for their entire careers, basically like madmen, you know, like very branding and advertising at a high level. They worked for Leo Burnett in Chicago, which is one of the the biggest ad agencies for early in their career. And so I just grew up around that stuff. That's all, like, that was dinner table conversation, is like, why does Coke do this? Why does Pepsi do that? You know, like, it's really fun to think about those conversations I had with my parents. And then in the early days of Vortic, we tried 5 different advertising agencies, you know, trying to pay other people to figure that out for us. And they all sucked. So I just was like, let me try to do this myself. And it's not hard. I mean, Facebook ads, you just have to know what you're doing. There's a certain science behind it. It's much harder now. In like 2017, 18, when I was doing it, it was way easier.
So you're thinking for selling watches, you're thinking, like, you know, male, 30s, lives with his mom still, you know, has troubles dating women. That's like your target audience, pretty much.
Yeah, just put a really beautiful girl in the ad, and then they click on it, right? I mean, that's yep. It's funny because when I was doing Facebook ads, the targeting was a lot easier. Facebook, with all the algorithm changes, they got rid of a lot of the targeting. Like, you used to be able to say, I want to target people that make at least 6 figures. Now they won't let you see that kind of data. They know how much we all make, but they won't let us access that as advertisers. And so advertising on Facebook got a lot more difficult. Now you have to trust the algorithm a lot more. And so what you do is you use lookalike audiences. So I take my email list of everyone that's purchased a watch or signed up for our list that meets our criteria. Clearly, they're customers. And I upload their email addresses into Facebook, and I say, find me people like this. Because Facebook knows a lot of data on those people. And it's not individual, like their customer information is safe because it's already there anyway. Facebook plugs that in and says, okay, if the average demographics of this 1,000 people is XYZ, go find me 100,000 people that are like that, and then show them the advertisement.
Seems like it got a lot more complex, dude. I mean,
it's way less fun when you just have to trust algorithms and software to do its job. It's way more fun to have more control. But
that's why I'd never drive a Tesla. I don't trust the machine. I mean, that's why we all like mechanical watches, right?
Yeah. These watches won't tell you any information about yourself.
They won't shut down if you don't pay your car bill.
They sure won't.
Sure as fuck it won't. You hear that, Chris? Because for those who don't know, Chris is the proud new owner of a expensive as fuck Tesla. Yeah, no thanks. So
everybody's entitled to their opinions. I've driven a Tesla a couple of times. I think they're really cool.
You gotta be careful, and you gotta be careful in those, RT.
But there's a lot of data, and they're definitely selling that data. They're like,
oh yeah,
where'd you park? How long did you stay there? Where'd you charge? Yeah, that's a lot of good stuff.
I think my favorite feature of the Tesla is the fart machine that it has built into the software. That's just professionally done.
It was very good. I was surprised when one of our friends used it. And I was like, I swear to God, I didn't fart. So you're someone who's built quite a lot as far as your portfolio goes of, like, just work. How do you find the proper amount of time to give to each project? Because running a watch company, as we've all seen takes up a huge amount of time, but you've managed to not only run a successful one, but also maintain multiple businesses with incredible quality still on your products. It seems almost unfair that you're able to do that. So how do you manage your time? And I still see you spend time with your family.
Yeah, I was going to say, I also have a beautiful partner, Lindsay, and two little
kids.
boys, 3 and 5, Sawyer
Yeah.
and Wesley, and I try to spend as much time as I can with them. So the real answer to your question is work-life balance, and that whole concept is absolute bullshit. The word balance to me as an entrepreneur, and I think a lot of people feel this way, and they might be a little afraid to say it, but balance is really boring. I prefer the term integration. Like you just figure it out, you know, like my partner Lindsay and I talk about work at dinner. Like when we're having a date, we both are entrepreneurs. We both like this stuff. We're talking about it all the time. And if you find partners, both, you know, life partners, business partners, team, that just support that and know who you are and accept you for who you are and not make it shameful that you're working a lot and you like to work, then you can, you know, pave a path towards more of that, like integration and stuff like that. The real answer to your question on how is other people. I like to say, and I'll quote my friend who said it recently, I'm not working, I'm creating.
Oh.
Like I am always creating something new, and I get to because I'm the visionary for all my projects. I'm just the idea guy. I have some crazy ideas. I bring them back to the team. I have a business partner in everything that I do. I'm never alone in that. And most of my business partners are more on the operations and integration side.
Logistics.
And yeah, and so they take my crazy ideas and help me filter the ones that actually might work. And then they help me find more team to execute it. Vortic, for instance, has 7, soon to be 8 people on our full-time salaried staff. And so it takes a lot of other people and smart humans to do that kind of stuff. The agency, I think we have 42, mostly contractors. And then the mastermind's run by a team of 4 of us. And so there's a lot of other things going on. And so that's the thing I think I'm the most proud of is not actually building the business, but in like finding really awesome people to surround myself with, that don't make me feel crazy for having lots of things and lots of ideas.
I mean, that's something that I had seen with your new one, Fast Foundations, is just kind of the collective of people you kind of surround yourself with. It's like a bunch of yous.
Yeah, well, you are the collection of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so if you hang out with lazy people, you become lazy. If you hang out with people that do really cool entrepreneurial things and are, I don't want to say hustling, but like they're okay with working a lot, then that's your new normal. That's okay now.
So you mentioned you had a pretty big staff. How many watches are you guys selling a year, man?
So we average for the last few years about 400 watches that we manufacture. We've sold, up until about June of this year, we've sold 100% or more of what we make. Sales started to slow, I think, with the talks of recession and stuff like that earlier this year. But, you know, I think I have the most inventory I've ever had right now. We have like 52 pieces in stock.
And how long does it take to do a conversion, typically?
Well, we work a 4-day work week at Vortic. 10-hour days.
18, actually.
Yeah. at
And
least
they're all children, actually.
yeah. that's how you make things in America. You pay them $2 an hour. Yeah.
You give them ice cream, so it's not work. You're not paying them. It's just.
He's about to start.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
When he said integrated, he meant his family, his kids
know.
are on the factory floor.
My kids want Sawyer. He's 5. He wants to start a YouTube channel because all he does is watch what we all do. Creating content.
You can look at our channel and know what not to do.
Yeah, don't do
I'll send him your way.
Yeah. Not what to do. There you go.
No, it's so I think the process of making one watch, like if we took the whole factory and every single one of us and aligned on let's just make one watch, we could do it in hours. But that's not how it works. We do everything in batches. And so right now we have a few different lines of product. We have our Watch of the Day program, so 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, we release one new one-of-a-kind watch every day at 12 noon. And so that's 6 watches a week. We're trying to get to 7, so that'd be 365 watches a year. And that's because we're the only company in the world that can do that. Every single watch is unique, so why not come out with a new piece of content? I mean, you guys do content every single day at 12 noon. I love marketing, guys. Like, this is my shit. So, like, when we had... And we had that idea, like Tyler and I had that idea in 2020 because when shit hit the fan with the pandemic, at that time in like 2019, early 2020, we were making them to order. So people would they would say, hey, I want a titanium case for my white dial pocket watch with a black strap, and I want this custom engraving. And we would be like, okay, that'll be, $2,995 and 6 months. And then they'd have to pay in full up front and wait 4 to 6 months typically. In the pandemic, with the unknown of the whole world, people didn't want to wait even 6 weeks.
They wanted.
I mean, you guys, there's so many limited editions that sold out like instantly in that time of year. And that's when we had this idea where we're making about one watch a day, so why don't we just sell one watch a day? And it took a lot of systems and processes and more people because every single watch is unique. They all needed their own photo shoot. They all need to be built one of a kind. It's a lot of work, but that's the best idea we've ever had because for 2020 and 2021 especially, they sold in minutes. Like at 12 noon Mountain Time, like we had hundreds of people like on their computer every day trying to click the button to buy that, and nobody could see it until that hour. And we still do that. So every 6 days a week, that's what we do. And then on November 11th, also at 12 noon Mountain Time, so November 11th is Veterans Day, we release the military edition. And we started that in 2019, and we make a 50-piece limited edition set. And these watches were flown on B bombers in World War II. So it's like the ultimate piece of military history. We only do it 1 day a year, and those sell out in hours or days. This will be our 4th time this year. So
with those modules that you're taking out, I'm assuming they had like radium on the dial on the handset.
We avoid radium as much as we can. The military ones did not. This particular model, they didn't use radium on these.
But you guys have dealt with radium before?
Yeah, anytime we see it, we just dispose of it properly. We get it out of the workshop. I actually know a lot about the science behind that.
I need to talk to you because I have
we try to get rid of
dirty. I have a Dirty Dozen, a record.
Cool.
And I was like reading, like it has radium on it, and I was like, it's probably safe. So I didn't, and like we're sniffing it around with Don Cochran, just joking around. And then I was like, maybe I should like research this a bit. It wasn't a guy; it was actually a radon gas detector. And so it was like, I don't know if the device was working properly, but I had set it on my bed, totally fine. I put it near the watch and was like going crazy. Yeah. And it was like 10 or something, way over the limit. And I was like, I need to get out of here now.
There's a lot of history behind that stuff. I mean, that you probably know the story of the Radium Girls.
Yeah.
Lot of unfortunate history there. One interesting fact about that, and that's why we do what we do. Like, we're historians, especially about American watch companies. So the Radium Girls are one of the core reasons that OSHA exists today. Interesting. I don't want to say fun fact because obviously that's a really bad thing, but interesting fact about that time. But radium is dangerous in 2 ways. One is if you ingest it. So if you touch it and then, somehow get it in your nose or your mouth, it will harm you from the inside physically.
For like ever.
Yeah, because it's the particles. You can't get rid of them. Your body can't process it, so it causes cancer. And then radium, when it interacts with oxygen, creates radon. And that's the thing that most people don't think about. And so if you put, like, most people think, like, oh, if I put the crystal back on and I don't touch the dial, I'll be totally fine. Well, that radium is interacting with the oxygen inside the watch, inside your safe. Your watch safe or your bedroom is being filled with radon gas.
And then that radon
slowly.
gas turns into lead eventually, right?
Radon gas has the particles in it, and the particles are, again, like radium. They get into your lungs, and your body can't process it. And so it's like why people do the radon mitigation in basements.
Yeah, because there's a lot of radon naturally in the ground.
Yeah, and I don't, anyone that's listening, like, I don't want to scare people. Like, it takes years to have enough from one watch to have enough radon to hurt you. But as a manufacturing company that deals with that stuff, we just, as soon as we see them, we take them out of the building, we get rid of them, because obviously that could be a long-term issue for us.
Could I send you my watch and you guys could
you can send me an email about it, and I will there are watchmakers that look radon in the face and say, I don't care, and they just do it anyway.
I want you to physically do it because I trust you.
If you trust me, you'll trust the people that I trust, and so I'll find you someone.
We found someone on eBay who was charging $20.
No,
that's okay. Like, actually, I'm not even joking. We actually did find someone on eBay who was like, send me your Radeon watch, I'll relume it or whatever, and I'll dispose of it.
Oh, this dude's like scraping it off into the garbage.
Bucks.
He's like, he's just getting it all over
his kitchen, dude.
Yeah, he's like, he's got sandpaper in his kitchen.
Holy shit!
No, that's people that don't know. It's scary, and then there's some watchmakers that, I mean, if you're set up properly and you have the right abatement tools and filtration and stuff like that, HEPA air filters will remove the particulate.
Well, actually,
yeah, please go get some.
Yeah, there's options. Some watchmakers actually really like that stuff because, it's good because you're preserving it. You're not just throwing it away like most people do.
I see. Yeah, because what happened was, so he has it now. He took the watch ASAP as soon as that counter went nuts. He ran to his shed, left the watch in the shed, and haven't been to it since.
Yeah, and just to give a full description, I used 2 Ziploc bags and 2 plastic containers, and I told my friend Dan, who smokes cigarettes, not to light a match in there because it's going to cause an atomic bomb.
It's pretty accurate, honestly. So I guess I want to get back to a little bit more on RT before we wrap this up. Or I guess on Vortic. Vortic has been well loved by the community. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows you. So Vortic has 51 Google reviews. All of them are 5 stars. How many of those are real?
Google, I don't think you can fake. Well, I guess you could fake a Google. I don't think I can delete them. So, to my knowledge, 100% of them are real.
Oh.
Unless you find one that has my name on it. Maybe I wrote myself a review in 2014. Who knows? Yeah. I mean,
he's a marketing guy. He already said it.
You got to try. That's like, you got to try everything once. But yeah, all those are legit. We got a bunch of great Facebook reviews, and then there's a ton of reviews on our website.
Just your reviews in general are like all incredibly good. I don't think I read one bad one out of like a million pages just looking up the brand.
We have a lot of customers that, I mean, at one point I looked back, and I think it was from 2017 to 2020. If you bought one Vortic watch, you had a 50% chance of buying a second Vortic watch within 12 months.
That's the stat.
Like our repeat customer rate during those few years was insane. I mean, just massive. And that's, they're not inexpensive. So that fact surprised me, but I see it all the time. I see the same names popping up on our Shopify, people buying 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is it mostly people in America, or do you ship out of the North America?
I would say 95% of our business is North America. We ship 1 or 2 a month outside of the U.S. Canada, and Australia are probably our two biggest, and mostly it seems I've had a few conversations with those customers, and a lot of them are expats. They're Americans living in another country, and they like what we do. But it's similar to you guys talked to Dufresne, and he was saying how like a lot of people have a connection to Austin, and that's the kind of where they get inspired by. I think it's a lot of people connect with either American made or just American history, and that's why they like our watches, and that makes sense.
And where do you source all the movements? Like, is that something that you keep secret?
No, yeah, I mean, there's really no secrets in our business. I mean, maybe some like trade secrets of how we restore the mechanisms, but that's mostly just because there's not very many watchmakers in the world that can do this. But where we get most of our pocket watches from estate auctions. So every day, a pawn shop or a jewelry store goes out of business somewhere in the States. And unfortunately, there's probably a box of pocket watches or movements sitting in the back somewhere, especially pawn shops. They're scrapping the gold and silver cases. And so from pawn shop auctions, we get just the dials, hands, and the movements, which is all we need. And that's where a lot of them come from. And we feel great about that because, the case is gone, like the history's like it's just in that mechanism now, and so we can upcycle it. And so that's where a lot of them come from. We have basically, if anyone's ever seen American Pickers on the History Channel, there's pickers like that. We have people like that. We were talking about one person that does that on a small scale. I have a few that do it on a large scale. And so people send us pocket watches from all over in little boxes, and we find them new homes, and then I go to auctions and participate in online auctions for like the really rare high-end stuff.
So have you ever found like a pocket watch that was just like solid gold movement or anything like precious metal, like something crazy like that?
Most of the gold in these was in the cases.
The casing. Okay.
They decorated a lot of the cases. There's some really cool stuff, like some prototypes that the like Waltham Watch Company made in like the late 1800s that were sapphire bridges and plates. So it was basically a totally clear movement, and it was so that they could show off like how they made it and how it worked.
What decade was this?
This was the late 1800s. It's
Crazy.
insane, and most of them are in museums because they're worth. We would never turn one into a wristwatch.
But
we would get killed. Someone would find us and kill us.
It's a little bit.
Maybe you had the picker break into a museum.
I mean, yeah, but those are. Yeah, those are in those are in solid gold cases typically, and or like a sapphire. That they're beautiful. And there's a couple auction houses that specialize in really high-end American pocket watches.
You ever dealt with Antiquorum?
I haven't. I was going to mention Jones and Horan Auction House in New Hampshire. They're just good people.
Actually, that's not the first time I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're if you want a very rare high-end wristwatch or pocket watch that's like vintage or antique, they're I think the best.
Gotcha.
Without going to one of the huge auction houses.
Yeah.
Like you can actually speak to a person and they tell you the whole history, and they're just really nice and kind to good people, and they're not gouging anyone, so I love them.
Gotcha. Yeah, stick to like local, don't use Antiquorum. So since you're a watch person,
you got the whole rest of my bio in there.
Little scared, huh?
Yep.
So since you're a watch person yourself, do you have any watches that aren't pocket watch conversions in your personal collection?
I have a couple cool. I'm a one of a kind person. Like,
he's a piece unique guy.
I like. I like, and what we call these is conversation pieces. Something that has a story, something that's different. My friend Lee Dowell has a company called Schmutz Watches. He's in Texas now, and I'll send you guys the link. But I don't know how he doesn't make very many watches, but they're hand painted dials. Like it's the shape of a canvas. It's like a rectangle, and it looks like a piece of art on your wrist. Like literally somebody hand painted an abstract art and put it on your wrist. So I have one or two of those. I just thought they were cool. And then I found this guy years ago called Tree Ring. It's literally Tree Ring watches, and he found these trees in Montana. I think he's in Bozeman, but the trees grow really slowly, and so when the tree's 100 years old, it's still just this big, like the shape of a dial. And so he cuts it, and then if you guys have seen tree rings, like you can count the rings, and so he engraves like how old it is. You know, this tree was planted in 1941, 1952, and he does a lot of cool stuff with like, you know, if your parents were born in this year, like they're mostly like 70 to 90 years old or something like that.
Wait for that special year.
Yeah, and they're 42 millimeter watches, so the dial is just like the perfect little, and it's just a little tree ring. And obviously, with my history with trees, I just thought that was cool. So I have a few things like that are just different. I don't have any big brand
modern
watches.
No Rolex.
Nothing worth talking about. No.
I don't know, man. I feel like all watches are worth talking about at some point.
Yeah, to me, everybody, like I said, everybody's entitled to their opinion. My opinion is I like Vortic watches.
Except Josh's Seiko Astron.
That one sucks. So I guess we're getting to the wrap up here. One, I want to thank you for sitting down with us and entertaining us. It was fun researching you.
It seems like it. You got deep.
So another question, man. When is the Vortic X Hamilton collaboration happening?
I really thought they were gonna be at one of these wind-ups, and they would just put like the Worn and Wound team would just put Hamilton right next to us, and we would just like make friends. I really thought that was gonna happen. I just thought that'd be funny for like the industry, like anyone who kind of like if you know, it's just really funny. I don't know. I mean, with Hamilton, we're good. It was Swatch that sued us, and I don't think there's any partnerships coming. I don't know. I don't know anyone in that space, but
you ever just
always be down to have a conversation with them.
You ever just want to take like an Omega moon swatch and then turn it back into like a pocket watch? I think that new line right there, marketing. Boom.
We actually get a lot of questions if we can make a pocket watch, because some of my customers have said nobody makes like a really nice pocket watch anymore.
Yeah, because no one fucking uses them.
That's really my point.
He wants his little vest to have a fucking pocket watch thing on it.
Hey, it might come back around.
So Chris has a really cool pocket watch, and I actually was wondering. So he has a pocket watch that was owned by Monsanto.
Cool.
The guy who ruined the world.
Oh, not cool. Okay.
Yeah. But it's Tiffany, and I was wondering, is that something that you could convert into a pocket watch?
If it was a Tiffany Hamilton, like made in USA, because that was a thing for a little while.
Oh.
Then yes. If it's a Swiss-made Tiffany, which are really cool and probably more valuable, then it's a no. So Vortic specializes in American pocket watches. We have all the engineering and technology to take almost any American pocket watch within reason and turn it into a wristwatch. But if it was not made in America roughly 80 to 100 years ago, then it's out of scope for us.
Damn right, because these colors don't bleed, baby. That's a true patriot.
It's just, well, there's so much history in that. But really, the big thing is in the early 1900s, like in that realm when all these pocket watches were made, the Americans were mass producing everything. We were making thousands of the same thing, and so for what we do now, 100 years later, we can find spare parts. We can fix them easier. Like it's just way more achievable. In Switzerland, it was still the cottage industry. So like these were handmade. One gear of that pocket watch would be different than even the next one off the line that they made. Because they were mostly handmade back then, or at least in small batches. And so to find spare parts for things like that and offer a warranty, it all just kind of falls apart. So that's why we focus on the American watches. They were just a lot more standardized and easier to work with.
Awesome. Well, thanks, RT. Again, I want to thank you for letting us entertain you even after you've listened to an episode of the show. Usually that's as soon as someone listens to an episode, that's it. They're not gonna. They usually ghost us. But you're here. You sat down with us. Also, everyone check out his work. It's at vorticwatches.com. And if you're on Instagram, which you should be, check out Vortic Watches also. And there's he got a million things. You want to shout out one of them? Fast Foundations is one that I've really enjoyed. Just
Thanks.
kind of watching you do it. It's cool. Not in the fucking creepy way. Holy shit.
Is it creepy because we're in a really small hotel room?
Yes.
It just makes it more creepy?
On the same bed.
I just feel blessed. You did
See
a lot
that?
of homework on me. That's really cool.
You don't even know he might have an air tag in his bag. Yeah. Oh.
There it is. Yeah, you get that alert every time you leave the room. Oh, you left something behind.
RT's leaving. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it.
No, it was fun.
Super.
All right, there y'all. See y'all.